Hi everyone, I am at work, but I wanted to record a video and just talk about how I passed my 2018 RD exam because I know a lot of people have a lot of questions, and I watched every single video on YouTube about how people pass their exam. Or people who pass their exam. So I'm going to go over what I did, what I think works, things like that. Okay, to start off, before I went to take my exam, I graduated from University of Maryland and I got my bachelor's in dietetics. And then I went to work at WIC for a year, which really helped me when I was taking my exam. So even if you don't take your exam or you don't go to your internship right away, just having work experience and being in the field really does help a lot. So I would definitely suggest that. So when it came time to go to my internship, I went to do my internship at Howard University, and then I graduated and I finished that. And what happened was I finished in May, but the way the CDR is set up, you don't get approved to take the exam until like your director does all these things, and my director took a longer time to finish uploading all the information that we needed. So that was a little bummer. And honestly, like a lot of people say, if you don't have your test date, it's very difficult to eventually like will yourself to study. Like if you don't know, I'm taking the exam on this day, it's really, really hard. So definitely as soon as you are able to register for the exam, I would say register. So that was number one. So we graduated in May. We didn't get approved to take the exam until the end of July, but I didn't want to be that person to be like, okay, I'm going to take it from a week from today. So I decided to take it in August, which I think helped me because that gave me 4 weeks to study. So our school gave us the Gene Inman study guide. It was like this bootleg version, but it still worked. We had the Gene Inman study guide. We didn't have the Gene Inman questions, but we did have breeding. So we had all of the students had to log into the breeding website, which is RDexam, I believe, .us. And we were able to take all the exams on the breeding. We didn't have the breeding text, but we had Gene Inman text, and we had the breeding software. And then, so what I did was for the 4 weeks, I just went through Inman. And at this time I wasn't working. So when I first started studying in June, I actually started working at a weight loss clinic. And I just hated that job. I worked as a dietitian to be at the weight loss clinic, and it's just not something that I wanted to do. So then it was good because when I got home, when I wasn't working anymore, I was actually able to focus on studying. So I was studying for my exam, and then I spent 4 weeks going through, this is how I divided my time. So I had 4 weeks of study. During that 4 weeks of study, my first priority was getting through Gene Inman, going through it, highlighting what I didn't know, making flashcards, like really studying every single thing and making sure I understood it. And that's the biggest thing with taking the RD exam. It's not about memorizing. It's about, do you understand the concept? Do you understand the Krebs cycle? That was the one I was most nervous about, like domain 1, knowing all the cycles, knowing like everything that it produces, like being able to recall that. That was what I was most worried about. I wasn't too worried about MNT and things like that because our focus in our internship was MNT. But I still studied everything because I know some people who don't study something because that's what their internship focus was on. I wouldn't necessarily suggest that. So there was that. And then after going through Gene Inman, I didn't go through it again. Like I only went through Gene Inman once. I had already made all my flashcards, I already made all my notes, but it was very in-depth about everything that I took notes of. So then I went through breeding, and I'm a person, and this is true, a lot of people say this, if you know your studying style from college, stick with it. Like really stick with it. So what I did was I focused on taking practice exams because my issue mainly is memory recall, being able to recall the facts that I've learned. So I took a bunch of practice exams, so I knew that I would need access to practice exams. So I already had the reading one, which is cool. And the thing about the exam is that you kind of don't know, like, is it this easy? Because sometimes if you're taking the breeding exam, it can seem dated a little bit because they still use like things like cc instead of milliliters, things like that, but you just notice it. But I was like, oh, I don't know if it's dated, but anyways, no matter what, if it's testing your knowledge on nutrition facts, that helps, you know, on the things, the things about dietitians need to know, it helps no matter what. So I did the reading exam. I had Momentrix, the paper Momentrix. What else? I actually didn't go through the Gene Inman practice questions because it was just overwhelmingly too much. So I can't really tell you how that was, if that was effective or not. But the most effective resource that I used personally was the EatRight practice software. And I just got the 3-day trial. It was like 2 days before my exam. And I was scoring consistently. No one said this in any of their videos. So I would say on my practice exams, I was scoring about 60 to 70%. On the practice, like full length, like 125 to 140 question exams, because none of them had 145 questions, which I feel like is a comfortable place to be in, where you're scoring at least, 60 to 70%. But I would really, to be very, very comfortable, I would shoot to be hitting at like 80% on your practice exams, even if it's not possible, but still something that you can pursue or something you can look into doing. So I did that on the EatRight. I got the trial. It was about 2 days before my exam. I got the trial and I just did one practice exam from EatRight, and I still was scoring consistently what I was scoring on the Momentrix, what I was scoring on breeding. So I was like, okay, well, at this point, I know what I know. If I don't know it, I don't know it. And on the EatRight, I would say EatRight it's the most reflective of the exam, and I think that makes sense because I feel like they're all EatRight, CDR all together. But if you can, I didn't get the CDR study guide, but I would have wanted to, because their study questions are going to be reflective on how they ask the actual questions. So when it comes to the actual test day, so I finished studying the day before. I took my exam August 15th, and the day before at 5 p.m. I stopped studying. I didn't study in the morning. I'm a person that studying makes me more nervous. And how I studied and how I trained myself was every 25 questions, I would take a break, take a breather, think, rest, like for a minute, because time is not the most issue. Time is not the issue on the RD exam. It's actually knowing what you know. So I would take a break after 25 questions. So I trained myself that 25 questions, I have 5 sections of 25 questions, I can get through it. So one section will be done. Okay, I have 4 more. Another section. Okay, I have 3 more. So that's how I trained myself. So when I actually got to the exam, you have to do the whole hand scanning, all that stuff. It already makes you more nervous, but I took my exam at 8 a.m. Okay, so I got to question 125. I was like, my exam is going to shut off. I'm going to be done. I trained myself for 125 questions. My exam kept going. And the panic that ran through me was like, I am failing, because if I would have done well on the first 125, my exam would have shut off. So I'm failing. Oh my goodness, these next 20 questions, I've already failed. And I was psyching myself out. And because of that, I feel like being nervous like that is what makes you not think correctly. That's what makes you not sound. So I took a pause and I was like, calm down, Lou. You're at 125. Your test is still going. You still have a chance. So when I got that out of my head, my test went to 145. You guys know the survey. And then I see that I passed. And I'm just like, what? I'm like, it's a quiet center. But I'm like, yes. Like, that's what I literally did in my seat because I was so excited. I didn't even know what to do after. I was like, okay, so what next? So eventually CDR sends you an email. You pay your $60, and then you can sign up for your licenses in other states. So if you have specific questions about the 2018 that I can say, not things that I can't say, but I would say EatRight is probably the most reflective of how they ask questions. I don't know the CDR. I'm thinking CDR would be the most reflective as well, but that's what I did. And honestly, a lot of prayer, a lot of calming myself down, a lot of faith in myself. Like I had a mantra that because I was starting my job as an adjunct professor because I got my master's at a university on that Monday, the next Monday after my exam. So I was like, I will address my class as a registered dietitian. And I would say these things whenever I felt doubt creeping up. I would continue to say those things over and over until I believed it. So I definitely think having faith in yourself is like the number one step. So that's everything. If you have any questions, just let me know. That's how I did on my RD exam.